Hello, everybody. Welcome to Late Night Football. Welcome to our match reaction show. It's finished. Manchester United 2, Nottingham Forest nil. Manchester United are going back to Wembley for the first final since 2018. I mean, it's domestic final rather. I mean, they've been in the Europa League final as well. But it was a good performance, I think, for Manchester United. I mean, it's a fantastic moment, of course. Just one step though. You still got to win the trophy. That's what matters. It's not always about just getting to the final. But I mean, the thing is, and I said this at the start of the end of the last game. I said 3-0. It's a good lead. It's not a guarantee that you're going to go through because one goal in the first half was an early goal, and suddenly the team is under pressure. So I was happy with the team selection that he made. I was happy that he brought in Martinez. I was happy that he brought Varane. Varane has not played the last two games, if I'm not mistaken. So it was a good time for him to come back and get some game time as well. Because you can't keep vesting players for too long either. That's not a good strategy as well. Of course, Fred had to start because Eriksen is out, but it was a good strong team. I like that Rashford was rested as well because I think he's been playing a lot. So for him to get the rest was good. But those two chances in the first half of Nottingham Forest, that could have been, if one of those was taken, if Brennan Johnson had scored, if Emmanuel Dennis had scored, I think the game would have been very interesting because suddenly, because I thought that first half Nottingham Forest came up with the right idea. They were pressing high up the pitch. They were not letting it. They were squeezing the space for United, and they realized that without Eriksen's delivery, they really didn't have much of they didn't have a player who could play consistently, find those spaces to play the ball in. I mean, Fred can do it a little bit, Casemiro can do it more often than not, but they don't have the vision that Eriksen has. So I thought it was a good strategy, and it almost paid off. They did look at attacking there for most of the half, but those two chances were really good chances, and I think. But then Johnson will think they should have done better. Dennis, I mean, it's a bit unlucky, isn't it? You hit it straight to Sam Surridge and it goes out, which is kind of a bit sad to see. But those two chances, one of those taken 1-0 going into the halftime, that would have made things interesting for sure. But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be Nottingham Forest night. And then in the second half, Ten Hag says, okay, fine, I've seen enough. Let's bring on Rashford, let's bring on Sancho, let's bring Martial. It was great to see Sancho and Martial back in the side though. And what's interesting was to see Sancho playing as a number 10. And I know a lot of people will go, well, why was he playing? But for one, I do think Sancho is a better number 10 than he's a winger. I don't think he's a winger. Or rather, he's not a winger in the mold that Ten Hag wants him to be because he's not particularly fast. And that is a problem. And especially if he's right-footed, I don't think he can be a right winger because I think that Ten Hag wants somebody who has a left foot. So for the most part, I think as a starting winger, I don't think he'll be starting. So the thing was either he's got to play on the left or he's got to play centrally. Left is Rashford's position, so he's not going to get either. So it was interesting that he plays Sancho as a number 10. I do think that might be his best position as a number 10. I don't know if he has the vision, but I saw today, but a little bit, I thought he had a critical role to play in the second goal. Definitely had a role to play, and he did make some good passes. So maybe he could be a Bruno backup. I mean, the fact is United don't have any backups for Bruno. They really don't. So maybe he can be the Bruno backup. Maybe not in terms of work rate yet, but at least in terms of being able to pick out passes, might be he could be an option that allows Bruno to get some rest in games. But I mean that's just what it was, isn't it? Just giving him that opportunity to play in that number 10 role. I don't know if he's good enough to play in that role, but I think if he's going to have a future United, for me, I see his future United as a number 10. That's where I see it. If it's going to happen for him, it's going to happen at number 10. It's not going to happen as a winger. I don't think it will. But I've been wrong before. I said that about Martinez and I was wrong. So I don't know. I never know. One thing I do know is I don't think you can play Antony and Sancho in the same team. I don't think you can play those. So those two are way too slow to be playing in a Ten Hag team. So that's something as well to think about. But nonetheless, I thought that was an interesting tweak that he made. And Bruno will look good on the right wing as well, which is a surprise because Bruno never looks. I always feel like when Bruno goes to the right wing, United lose a lot because they lose, Bruno's work rate in the center, and he's not as effective on the right. But today, I think he was quite effective on that right. Still, he got the first goal though. Let's talk about that. And that was again shows Casemiro at his best. And he loses the ball, he wins it back. It's a bit lucky break that he hits straight to him, but he has the awareness yes, I've got it now. I've got to make a quick pass, and he quickly passes it to Martial. I thought Martial could have slipped in Rashford more better. I think his pass to Rashford was really, really poor. And he gets a bit lucky that the ball comes back to him, and it's a good finish in the end. But I felt that he could have done much better with that initial pass because that was a pretty poor pass. But nothing away from the finish. The finish was good. Anthony Martial, he's been injured. He's one of those players who gets injured and then comes back and suddenly looks like a good player. I mean, I don't know what it is this season. He's having 3 or 4 injuries, but he still managed to score the goals. I don't think the injuries have slowed him down. So I don't know what it is about him. And I keep saying it's a big if. Can he stay fit? And that's a big question mark. With Weghorst on his side, And now with Rashford also able to play as a striker, I think he'll have a bit more opportunities for this. But you always worry with Martial. The worry is always how long can he go until he gets injured. So maybe that was the last of the injuries for the season. Maybe, but you can see why he's so important to Eric Ten Hag. You can see what he brings. He's just different. He's a better goal scorer than Weghorst is, obviously, and I think his work rate is not there, but he also does a lot of good work off the ball. So that's the reason. I think between the two, Weghorst obviously does some fantastic work off the ball, but his finishing is a bit lacking. Whereas Martial, I think, is a little bit more on that. And of course, he's got the pace, which Weghorst doesn't. So he's a good asset to have on the counter. So you can see what he brings to that side. I think that just deflated Nottingham Forest that first goal, didn't it? And the second goal just came so quickly after. Again, Casemiro picks out Sancho. I thought that pass from Sancho is not going to get talked about enough because of what happened after, but that was a very good pass because it's a tight angle and it just evades the player. And they always look like that's the kind of nice little pass. And when it comes out to Bruno, that's just beautiful. The number of touches that Bruno had in his game, good touches, was so good. That was a brilliant cross to the back post. And Rashford has awareness to go. I'm not going to go for goal. I'm just going to play it back towards the goal, and he did that. And Fred just touches Fred goes in. We saw that as well in the game. A couple in Serie A, I believe it was Sakagni, I think, who did that a few days ago. Same thing here as well. He just touches it and goes in. Like, you don't have to do anything. You just have to touch. You just have to make sure you don't do anything with it. Just let it touch you and goes in, and it's a goal. Fred has a knack, by the way, getting these kind of goals from these kind of positions. He got one against Reading as well. He's got one here as well. I don't think he had a particularly good game. I don't think he had a bad game. I think he was good. It was not great, but it was good. But that goal will again help him out quite a lot. He has this knack of getting these goals, doesn't he, from out of from ridiculous positions, easy positions or difficult positions, but he gets them, and it's 2-0, and that is job done. And then of course there was a moment of panic towards the end where Heaton had to make a save, but the game was done by then. But congratulations United, they made the final. I do think that as well, that Sancho playing at number 10 is because Ten Hag knows he's got the attack is one area, but he's got bodies, he's got depth, he's got Weghorst, Martial, Rashford, he's got Garnacho, Anthony, Pellistri, Alanga. So he's got depth in the attacking positions. What he doesn't have is depth in midfield. So maybe he's thinking, well, if I can get Sancho to play as a number 10, then I've got one more player who can cover this. So because that turns it out. So I do believe that might be something as well in his thinking of trying to use Sancho as a number 10. So but that's his work. Credit to him for thinking like that as well. So maybe we'll see what happens. I'm intrigued to see how well Sancho will do. I hope he gets back on his rhythm and starts playing well again. He's a good player, and just needs a little bit of his confidence back. Just needs to get that stability, and I think he will hopefully come good for Manchester United. Man of the match, I think Bruno Fernandes was going to man of the match. I agree with that. I thought he was a man of the match too. I know Casemiro had a big role to play in both of those goals, but I thought Bruno was the influential player for most of that game. I think he was his touches were really good. His work rate was really good. He was doing a lot. I don't know what's happening to me. I've been running, but his work rate was really good. He had this. I just feel that Bruno Fernandes has matured into a leader this season. I really feel that. You can see in his performances and I keep saying this, what doesn't get talked about Bruno a lot is his work rate off the ball. A lot of people go, he's doing this, he's doing that, or look at his touches, look at that. His work rate of the ball is so important, and that is what allows United to have that midfield of Eriksen, Casemiro, and Bruno, because Bruno has been compensating for Eriksen's defensive lack of defensive strength is what Bruno has been doing. When you lose Bruno in that midfield, and maybe now with Fred it won't be so apparent, but when you lose Bruno in that midfield, you lose a lot. And that's something that doesn't get talked about enough. But he's been fantastic this season. He's been fantastic today as well, led from the front. And keep in mind as well, this was a game where United had to show their mentality. They couldn't go into this game thinking job done. They couldn't be complacent. They had to be patient. They had to be, on it. And I think Bruno made sure, and the fact that the team did it, and there was some nervy moments, but they came through it. The fact that they came through it, I think, is a testament to Bruno as a leader as well. But anyway, it's a job done, 2-0 win. We'll see what happens to the final. It's not a United will enter as favorites just because they're Man United, but it's not going to be a foregone conclusion, I feel. But of course, we'll get to that when we get to that. Before that, there's so many more games to look forward to, and we'll see what happens there. But let me know your comments. What do you think about the game? Of course, do smash a like if you enjoyed this video. Smash a like if you're a Manchester United fan and excited for another final again coming up. It's been a while since we haven't this, so do smash a like for that. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.